Welcome. I'm so happy you could join us here today. I'm interviewing Kathleen Casey, master gong player, and hopefully you've had a chance to listen to her play. On this same page, there's a short sound of her playing the gong. And if you sit quietly while you listen it, don't try to do something at the same time, you will find that it can take you to other realms. It really takes you, or this is what I find at least, takes me so deep. I just love listening to it. It's transformational. And I present Kathleen Casey.
Hi, everybody.
So, Kathleen, can you tell our viewers how you started playing the gong? How did that happen? Because when I first met you, I've known Kathleen for a long time, about 14, 15 years, and you had never played a gong when I first met you. So can you briefly tell our friends here what happened?
I heard a gong being played for the first time, other than when I was very small, listening or watching to the Gong show on TV, which was the only thing I knew about gongs. Or in an old Charlie Chan movie or something like that where they played a gong. But I heard this gong and I felt as though every cell in my body was just taking off. It was really a very physical experience, actually. It kind of, mentally, emotionally, physically. And I went to the person who was playing the gong and I said, do you have any tapes? Because this was before CDs were even around, I think. And he said, if you want to hear this sound that you heard, there is not the technology to put it on tape at this point. So you need to buy a gong. I went home and I kept thinking about this gong. I couldn't get it out of my mind. So a month later, I called this person back and I said, I think I have to have a gong. And and this is the truth. I had to drive to Monterey, and at the time, my car was having a hard time, and I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I would do Reiki over my car because it was going to go like this. So I had to actually...
Did it help?
Well, it got me to and from work. It did. And I attribute energy to the fact that my car lasted as long as it did. But the point is that the gong arrived in Monterey. I had to rent a car to get to Monterey because my car would never have maybe with the Reiki, but it was a little dicey. You don't want to break down with the gong in your car in Monterey. So I rented a car to go down and get this, and I felt a lot like Jack and the Beanstalk, you go off to get something sensible like a cow and come back with magic beans. And I thought, this is the equivalent of going off and doing that. So, and I knew I needed a car more than I needed a gong, but it was, at the time, it was one or the other. And I had to have this gong. So I walked into the room and he had something over the gong, because the man that I bought it from said, out of respect, you don't just leave it sitting if you're not using it, you cover it. So I stood at the front of the room and he was down there with the gong and he took the top off. And I'm looking at this gong and the thought that came into my mind was, oh my God, what have I done? So the fact that all these years later, which now, what is it? That was 1997 or 8, I'm not sure, I'd have to think which one, but one of those years. And now I've got 3 gongs and many mallets, and thanks to my dear friend Ed Mann, who is a wonderful musician, and he taught me mainly over the phone. He taught me a lot about playing the gong, and he would tell me things and I would experiment, and what I had been told, not by Ed but by the person I bought it from, was if you pay attention, the gong will teach you how to play it. And you do. It's very meditative. You just let your mind empty. You have to be in beginner's mind, Zen mind, every time you play. You can't, at least I cannot think, oh, I know something here. I just have to let it go, and then I moved to pick up different mallets, some you rub, some you tap lightly, and it just has evolved. And now I have quite a lot of instruments, and I love what I do.
So that sounds very meditative, and we always talk about how can we have more peace in our lives, and it sounds to me like the feeling I get when I listen to it is the feeling that Kathleen gets when she plays. It's that very meditative place where you drop so deeply that you get to be outside your personality, which is what gives you real peace, is to drop that personality even for just a few moments while you're listening to her play. Ah, what a relief, what a relief.
Yes, and it is that way when I play.
Yeah.
It's a relief not to have anything going on that's telling me to do anything a particular way. No outside influences, just the inner connecting with something more vastly more present, and I just do my best to be present to it.
Yeah, and I'd like to share with you that while we were preparing to do this little interview, we were really laughing really hard because we were so concerned. We were trying to get everything just right, and we wanted to look right, and we just were laughing so hard. And what was the quote that you were quoting?
Oh, Oscar Wilde. One of my favorite quotes is, "She who can laugh at herself will be endlessly amused."
So, you know, we were so amused, and in that moment when you're laughing, when you're finding something that you can laugh at, you really are, again, outside the personality. So to me, the secret is really to drop outside of the personality, whatever means you use to do it. So you can use meditative type music, like this kind of very special music that Kathleen does that hopefully you've heard. And you can use things like laughter, finding things that are funny to laugh at, including, and maybe especially yourself, just being the observer. Once again, being the observer and watching yourself, and not taking yourself personally, you know, not taking it all so seriously. And that was also something else we were talking about earlier, how the older I get, the more I get an understanding that I want to just not take everything so seriously. It's like everything seems so important when you're younger, and as you develop more and more life experience under your belt, you begin to just take everything more in stride. It's like, okay, then that's what it is, and then you just keep moving on, and that does indeed bring more quiet and more peace into your life, which allows your inner light to glow more. So those are a couple of things that we wanted to share with you, and I really hope that you will explore Kathleen's site more. Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Bye.